more about the practical approach to overcoming anxiety or working with anxiety, because often it's not about trying to be all peace and light all the time. It's about being more peaceful more often and accepting that you do have all different sides to you. It's not about being perfect. So these workshops that I do, they're looking at different ways to do that. And this is my definition of mindfulness. So let's just click here. Right. So for us to understand ourselves and make the right choices, we have to pause. So I use this phrase a lot. I use it as often as I use me time, but we need to pause. So from going around like a headless chicken, when we recognize that we're going around like a headless chicken, because we all do it, no matter how experienced, no matter how much we meditate and so on, it will happen at some point. Sometimes it's out of our control, like now, and sometimes it's something triggered within. But the key here is to pause. So it could just be that you realize that that's happening. Whoa, this is not right. Something is not right in me or around me. I'm not entirely sure what, but I just need to step back here. So when you pause, it's something as small as taking a breath, sitting down for 5 minutes, having a cup of tea, to something bigger like, right, I need a break, I need to get away. Then you check in with yourself. So what is my body doing? I can feel the tension here. I can feel the tightness in my shoulders, my face. Making some soup one night, and there was nowhere that I needed to be, and I didn't have any deadlines coming up that evening, but I was stirring the soup, my shoulders were up, and I was like this. And I just in that moment went, what are you doing? I took a deep breath, and my shoulders drop. And the first thing I thought, which we often do, is I beat myself up. I was like, look at you, what are you doing? These are called meta emotions, when we put crap on top of crap. What we need to practice, which can be done in mindfulness practice, is going, you noticed, good, now just relax. And that is a reinforcement. If you do that over and over again with positivity, with praise that you noticed, that will become a new mindset, that will become a new habit, a new rewiring. So you check in. There's loads of different ways to check in. There's body, there's even psychometric tools. There's learning about yourself is fascinating. And, that's all about that yin and yang and the light and the dark side, and partly accepting and partly deciding to change things if you want to. That is the choice. The choice to accept, the choice to change, the choice to shift your mind or an emotion. How? So this is what I'm all about. How? Because when you are in that place where your emotions are incredibly intense, you know what you need to do. You have a good idea about yourself. Sometimes it feels impossible. And that's what I want to come on to later, because if your body is full of cortisol and of stress, the most simplest way to bring your body back down to peace is through breath and through meditation. But later you can start to work with the mind again, the cortex thinking mind. We cannot work with the mind when cortisol and adrenaline is high in the body, because the body is ready for fight and flight. It's not going to listen to anything that you've got to say. So, this is one of my favorite quotes. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. Leave the situation, change the situation, or accept it. All else is madness. I love this because it reminds me again of that headless chicken. Round and round and round, and then we pause and we go, hang on. This is about getting your empowerment back. Anxiety comes from my sort of self-contemplation is when I feel trapped. This is a perfect scenario to practice this, because how can we find our empowerment in that situation? This is what I want to come back to, because and what I mean by that is you can get your leadership on, and by being that really good leader where you can use your different influencing techniques, you can get things in place, you can have those uncomfortable discussions with your partner, and you can decide, how do I want this to go? By stepping back, by calming those systems down and making different choices. And we'll come on to that because that's one of my personal examples as well. So it's about taking ownership. So there's 3 parts to these spirals that I've mentioned. I'm going to take you back to that page. So with spirals, we've got the upward spiral and the downward spiral. And when we look at how does our spiral work, we have to look at, okay, what are my red flags?